everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is just going to be a compilation of different Imbolc activities you can do to help celebrate for this Sabbath. So this first one is going to be making some Imbolc bread. So the first step in making your bread is to place 3 cups of warm water into a mixing bowl and adding 2 tablespoons of your instant yeast. You want to stir it well to dissolve and let it sit for a few minutes. And while it's sitting, you can measure 7 cups of bread flour and add that bread flour to the bowl along with 3 teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of olive oil or sunflower oil, and mix it together. Once it's all mixed together, you're going to want to knead it for 8 minutes on a lightly floured surface. This will get your arm workout for the day. After kneading it for the 8 minutes, place it in a bowl with a damp cloth over top of the bowl and let it rest for 3 minutes. After the 3 minutes, just take the dough out, flatten it, and shape it into another dough ball, and then you're going to want to place that into a bowl again and cover with the damp cloth to rise for 1 hour. After rising for 1 hour, remove the dough ball and split it into 2 even balls and pre-shape the dough into loaves. Let the dough sit again in the bowl with the cloth over top for another 15 minutes. And while that's rising, we are going to butter our loaf pans so that the dough doesn't stick to them. We're now going to take the dough balls and form them into their final loaf shape. Here I'm just kind of flattening it and folding it onto each other, creating a longer oval-sized dough ball. Just fixing the ends, pinching it together, and making sure it will fit my buttered loaf pan. You don't want it to be too big for it because it will rise once it's sitting in there. Place them in the pans, cover again with the damp towel, and let it rise for 1 more hour. After their final rise in the pan, we can place them in a preheated oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for around 40 minutes. I did add a little bit of butter on top, and I also sprinkled one of the loaves with a garlic herb spice that I had, but in the end it didn't really do anything. It kind of just crisped up, so yeah, you don't have to do that. I also placed a cookie pan with about a ½ inch of water in the bottom of the oven just before putting the loaves in, just to create some steam to make a more crustier bread. I check to see my bread is done if it falls out of the loaf pan and it kind of has a hollow sound to it. I finished it by adding some melted butter to the top of both loaves and letting it sit just to cool off. So I ended up cutting it later that night and everything turned out really good. It's cooked well through and there's a nice crust finish on it from steaming the oven with that tray of water. I'm really happy how it turned out. So now we're going to move on to weaving a Brigid's cross. I'm going to show you first with some pipe cleaners because that's the easiest way to do it. So I'm taking that one pipe cleaner and folding it from left to right over top of that middle one, and then I'm going to take my third pipe cleaner and take it and loop it down over this one right here and loop it towards the ground. And my last one I will be taking and looping it to the left. Once you follow those first 3 pipe cleaner steps, it's really simple from here. We're going to keep wanting to turn the cross counterclockwise, and just keep adding one piece the exact same way all the way around. So we're going to add that piece, turn it counterclockwise, and add another one, folding it from to the left, and just keep following that pattern until we get to the very end just to finish it off. Pipe cleaners are the easiest way to learn how to weave a Brigid's cross at first, because they're easy to handle and they're not like in the way, whereas using twine or any sort of weed or reed can get sometimes frustrating. So this way you can teach yourself how to fold one, and after that you can move on to doing any type of wheat or straw or any material like that. So when we get to adding our last one to finish it off, we're just going to want to pull that little loop down from the previous one that I'm going to do right there, and we're going to add that left piece and just weave it through that loop just so that it holds secure, and then you can just pull that loop up. I am then just finishing off the edges to make it look a little bit nicer with some twine wrapped around it. I didn't bother trying to cut it because I don't have good enough wire cutters or scissors to cut through the pipe cleaner. And here is a finished product with the pipe cleaners. So now I'm going to try my luck with this weed I found growing in the snow outside my house. So we're going to do those first few loops, which is just over to the right, down, and across to the left. And once that center knot is done, we're going to do the exact same thing, turning it counterclockwise and adding the left loop, and just keep doing that until we get our cross done. So this weed was a little difficult to work with because it was some pieces were really thin and others were really thick, and it kind of felt like it wanted to snap on me, but none of them actually did. So I'm going to add the last piece by pulling down that little previous loop and sliding that left one through that loop and pulling it closed. And I added pieces of twine around the ends of each of these ones as well, and I also trimmed off those little pieces of weed that were just a little bit longer than the rest of them. Now we're going to make some candles, so you're going to need some glass containers, some essential or fragrance oils, and some wicks, and wick clips if you're using wood wicks, or just regular cotton wicks works just fine. So while your wax is melting down, I just wanted to prep my jars with the wood wicks. I prefer wood wicks over cotton wicks, so I have my little wick stickers and the clips that you put your wood wick into. So you just attach the sticker and place them center down into each container. So all my wax is now melted, and I'm going to add my essential oils. So I decided to do a blend of cedarwood, peppermint, and cinnamon. I've never done this blend before for anything in my shop, but I just thought I'd try it out, and it actually smells really good, surprisingly. Because these candles are just for my personal use, I'm not measuring the essential oils or anything like I would if I were making candles for my shop or for others. I kind of just eyeballed it and stirred it around and gave it a smell and made sure everything was kind of balanced and went on from there. So now I'm just pouring the wax into each container, making sure they're not too full if you're putting a lid on them or anything. And if you spill any wax onto the container on the outside, I recommend cleaning it off while the glass is still warm. It removes really easily. And then we're just going to let the wax sit until it's hardened and just the top is warm so we can add our herbs and crystals and stuff. So the herbs I've decided to top my candles with are angelica, rosemary, cinnamon chips, basil, chamomile, as well as an amethyst crystal for one, a black onyx crystal for the another one, and a little wheat charm that I thought was cute that I added to my spell candles in my Imbolc spell box. So while the top of the wax is still warm, we're going to want to add our herbs. So with the first one I did angelica root, basil, cinnamon chips, and the wheat charm. My second one I did some chamomile, some cinnamon chips, as well as some basil, and the black onyx crystal. And with my third one I added some rosemary, some chamomile, and some angelica root, as well as the amethyst crystal. Then I just trim the wicks with a wick snipper. The wax is still a little bit warm. I recommend it to be completely hardened, but I'm impatient. So now we're going to craft an Imbolc bath recipe. So I have powdered soy milk, Epsom salts, coarse rock salt, dried lemon slices, dried lavender, dried chamomile, coconut oil, and lavender and lemon essential oil. So I'm just starting by adding my Epsom salts and my coarse rock salt together in the bowl and mixing it with my finger, and then I'll be adding the soy milk powder. You can use powdered regular whole milk, or even when you go to use your bath you can use actual milk, but I just decided to go with soy because it's a lot cheaper. So now I'm just adding my coconut oil. It's actually fractionated coconut oil, so it doesn't harden up or anything. So I added that, as well as 5 drops of lavender essential oil and 2 drops of lemon. And then you're just going to want to mix that together really well, getting all of the clumpies out and just making sure it's completely combined. So now I'm just sprinkling in some chamomile, dried chamomile, as well as dried lavender, mixing that in, and then just placing my dried lemon slices in the bowl. Because Imbolc is a time where you want to plant the seed for new projects or new ideas, this is a great spell to do for the Imbolc Sabbat. So I'm just cleansing my area with some incense and cleansing my candle and anointing it with some altar oil that I have and lighting it with a lighter. I'm also just cleansing my amethyst, moonstone, and black onyx in the incense and placing it around my candle. So now you're going to want to take a piece of paper and write a goal or an idea or a project that you want to manifest coming soon in the spring. I already have mine written, but I made it into the form of a petition. But yeah, just write your goal or your dream and put all your energy into it, and then you're going to want to fold that piece of paper and place it into the bottom of your pot. I also always like to give my petitions a run through the incense just to cleanse it off and send the energies into the universe. So I'm taking my jiffy pot of dirt and I'm hydrating it with the water I collected on the full moon, and it's actually full moon snow water. So I thought that was really special to hydrate the jiffy pod, so I'm going to let that soak up and become a dirt pod. And once that's done, I'm going to break off the little mesh stuff because I don't really like it, and I'm going to add it to my pot. So once I have the dirt all situated in the pod how I like it, I'm going to add my seeds. And I've chosen basil because it's really good for prosperity and luck and abundance, and just good for new beginnings and new projects. So you're going to want to just lightly cover those seeds with some dirt and place it in a window that will get lots of sun and daylight, and yeah, hopefully your basil will sprout. I also ended up painting the Brigid statue that I was talking about in my Imbolc altar setup video. I like it a lot better. It's more of a bronze gold, and I think it fits the whole theme a lot better. And I also added the Brigid cross I made in behind her. So yeah, I'm really happy how my altar looks right now. So now we're going to make some Imbolc bird feeders for the winter. So I'm just following the gelatin instructions. I believe it was 2 or 4 tablespoons and a half a cup of water. I just doubled the recipe halfway through because I decided to make a little bit more. So I just mixed that together and added 2 cups of birdseed and mixed it really well together. I'm then just cutting some paper straws so I can create the hole to put them in, but I'm filling my molds with the birdseed mixture and placing the little paper straws just so I have a hole to string my twine through to hang them in the trees once they're done. And I'm doing these late at night, so we're gonna have to pop them in the fridge and see what they look like in the morning. So the next day I did try to take these from the mold, and I think I either mixed the gelatin wrong, it was expired, or the mold just wasn't the right type of mold to use because the silicone didn't really make it tight and packed in there, because I tried to demold them and it just did not work. So I'm just going to put them in a bowl, kind of push it down and maybe freeze it and just put it outside in a tree so hopefully some birds can still eat it. So here are the final products from all the activities we did to celebrate for Imbolc. We have our fresh bread, our 3 candles, our seed sprouting spell, the 2 Brigid's crosses we made, and the ritual bath salts. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know in the comments if you decide to do any of the activities we went through today. And I hope you have a blessed Imbolc, and I'll see you in the next video.